Welcome to the Daily Dish with Leanne Ely. This is a show about you, your life, and the vibrancy you want. Join us for daily motivation, wise women's tips, and more as we collectively gather together and move the needle in our lives, heart, mind, body, and soul. Now, here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
Happy Monday. It is Motivational Monday. If you are joining me today, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to talk about the emotional ties we have to motivation and just basically emotional intelligence all week. It's going to be a fun time. Noreen, I'm glad to see you. Nancy, you too. It is a beautiful day to get together. I have to agree with you on that one. If you were here with us on Saturday, you know what we talked about. What did I do with my, I guess I took it upstairs. Shoot. Yeah, I had it upstairs this morning. I was going to show you my journal. But if you were part of our journal workshop on this past Saturday, I hope you found that helpful. If you have our Take Back Your Life journal, we have, of course, all the training that you could possibly need on that. You can go to savingdinner.com/journal to get one of our lasting journals. Or if you saying, hey, wait a minute, I've got one of those. I want that training. Well, all you have to do is go to savingdinner.com/journal. And I believe if you click on that link, that will help you to get there to that. I see Sarah, Joanne, Darla, Terry. Oh my gosh. Diane is in the house. Helen, Allison, Angie, Debbie. Good heavens. Look at everybody just marching all in here. Like you own the place. Hello, Jennifer. So good to have you here. And James is here too. Anyway, that's what we did this weekend. We were busy and it was fun. Wasn't it fun to just really talk about that stuff? I love talking about that stuff because it really helps us to put things together. Flynn, you're right. It is Monday. Of course it is. Corliss in the house. Jackie's here as well. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Here's our quote of the week. It's a good one. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. Have you noticed this? That the more you believe in something, the more that you focus on something, the more you're going to find it because it suddenly becomes a part of our reticular activating system. And you know what that does? Hey there, Alice. I know it's your birthday. Isn't it your birthday? It's your birthday, Alice. Jocelyn's in the house. Julie's here. Susan is here. And there's my girl, Jeanette. She just walked on in here. I love it. I love it. You know what? Y'all walk on in here and I just say, come on in. It's like having friends over for coffee. Even if you don't drink coffee, I'll still make you a cup of tea. And if you don't drink tea, I'll show you where the water is. If you drink wine, we're friends for life. How do you like that one? Guess what happens starting tomorrow? This is it. This is all you can hear about. The rising tide. This is for people who want to take it a step further and they want me to help them with their goals. Basically, that's exactly what this is. It's not just about creating goals, giving you the workshop, and here's your journal, this, that, and the other thing. It is about getting into it. I will see your goals, I will look at your goals, and I'll make suggestions on how to make them better. That's how that whole thing is. It's so fantastic. Anyway, so I'm excited about that. Look at everybody saying happy birthday to our sweet Alice. Debbie's in the house. Kimberline's here. Joanne saying happy birthday. This is the kindness and the love that we give to each other, isn't it? I love that part. Did you know that our Vibrant Body Detox, speaking of that starts today? Who's doing it? Who's doing it? That was a part of what you paid for the workshop, but we start this for 10 days. 10 days. And one of the things that I have found this to be one of the best things for taking it at night, because this is a supplement that supports your detox capabilities. Your body does that anyway. How about supporting it? I take this at night, 2 of these every single night when I go to bed. And if you buy 3, you're going to get 1 free. You find out all about this incredible supplement at savingdinner.com/show. Good thing to do. Sarah, she loves the detox. I'm doing it. Of course you're doing it. Isn't it so fun though? I love stuff like this because this is the way that we get our bodies and we get involved with what our bodies are doing. and we're more in touch with it then. And I think that's really important. The awareness helps to lead the way, doesn't it? You notice that? Hey, Margaret, I'm glad you're here. Denise is here too. Look, there she is. Juanita's here. Hello, hello. Isn't it so fun? Well, anyway, I'm telling you about, probably this is the last chance. You'll probably hear it one more time tomorrow, The Rising Tide. This is a 3-week intensive. It starts tomorrow night. It's 2 hours. Yes, it's all recorded. savingdinner.com/rising tide. If this is something that you think you want to be a part of, have at it. This is the one way too that you can get a one-on-one with me, and I can get in there and really get all over your goals and help you out as best I can. Yeah, I like that idea. Don't you? Oh, it does help. You know what, Flynn? It helps because the Vibrant Body Detox is supporting, the big deal is your liver. Because when our livers are just constantly, we get hungry when the glycogen goes, by the way. So there are not chia seeds in the detox. No, I don't believe so. Am I right about that, Jenny? I'm not sure. Maybe it is in the chia pudding, but you can always take them out. So there you go. That's what we have going on this week, as well as the Rising Tide, the Inner Circle, which will be starting the following Tuesday. As soon as we're done with this entire Rising Tide, then we're going to roll right over into Inner Circle. And this is you'll just have to go read it. savingdinner.com/ you can go / Inner Circle. Just circle is where you want to go. But the thing is, if you can't have seeds, then just make the smoothie. Just do the smoothie. Easy. Skip the seeds, have smoothie. We just did the chia seed pudding just to make it different. Yeah, that's right. Alrighty. So that's what else is going on. And are you getting our text messages? I keep checking to see if mine came yet. I'm watching for the text message. You know why? Our text message, we're celebrating our 21st birthday. Yay! All you have to do is text the word join to this phone number on your messaging application on your phone to 855-960-3720. You will be added to our text message list. And we are sending out a text message today that's going to be pretty exciting for those of you who are on it, because you'll see. Yes to text messages. You just got the text message? Vanessa said she just got it. Well, there's a special deal on that. It's not going out to everybody else, y'all. You got to be a part of the text message group. You got your message? See, I didn't get mine. I get mine at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm thinking, are we really sending them out at 10 o'clock at night? We're not. My phone is Mr. Wonky Tonk. You got yours, Joanne? Isn't it so cute? Did you understand the piñata did you understand that was a piñata? Was that the cutest thing ever? I like it. Anyway, take advantage of that. It's a special deal, and people they're already enjoying it. They're enjoying their little text message. I didn't even get it, and I haven't gotten mine yet. All right. Well, this is everything that's going on this week. I just wanted to keep you abreast of all the goings on. And I also want to take you to the place of what we're going to be talking about this week. This week, we're going to be talking about the influence of emotional intelligence. So good. So good. Oh, Teresa. Oh my gosh. Gallbladder pain is the worst. I know what that feels like. We're praying for you, Teresa. Let's talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the thing. Okay. Emotional intelligence, I believe this is what separates the sheep from the goats, because if we don't work on our emotional intelligence, we find ourselves being drugged around by our emotions and never getting past go. So there's scholarly research and has looked at the power of emotion for the last 20 or so years. It's fascinating because the word emotional intelligence, I didn't even know it even existed a few years ago. And now we do. We know it as a thing, how important it is. So we need to understand, because emotions act as drivers they drive or restrain the force in determining a strategic outcome. In other words, you know what that is? Strategic outcome. What is that? Fancy word for end result. our end result is going to be emotionally charged. Did you know that? Have you felt that? Have you connected with that emotional charge? Of course you have. So positive and then negative emotions can pose as the drivers. However, it's the more nuanced emotions that do the work, right? You know that. You know that. You've probably felt that before. That amusement that we feel when we watch the cat videos. That's why we share them. Woo, woo. Who needs a cat video? We all need cat videos, don't we, in our lives? Inspiration. You see, we share inspiration. Look in our Hot Milk Sprint group. Lots of inspiration. People are sharing stuff. It's not mine. I share stuff that isn't mine all the time because there's inspirational quotes there. There's inspirational sayings. There's even a little video of something. It's inspirational. We share that because it stirred us emotionally in a way. Same with quotes, excitement, surprise, happiness, right? And yes, sadness even. Sadness even will spur on this emotional response, which in turn helps us to create action in our lives. And you know what else? We form judgments based on our emotions. Have you noticed that? We form judgments. So how about those sad commercials? Here's the one that I always get to. And I always tell Mark, change the commercial or freeze the TV so I don't have to watch this commercial. You know what I'm talking about? The one with the cold shivering dogs outside all chained up, right? And you got Sarah McLachlan singing, I Will Remember You. Isn't that like the most horrid thing you've ever seen? I'm just sitting there crying. Or else you've got a polar bear drifting on some kind of little iceberg, right? Some awful thing. Some awful thing with some animals being abused. And what does that drive? What are they trying to do here? Well, they're trying to play on your heartstrings so that you will give money to this particular organization. It's pretty effective. And it does play to our emotions, and I cannot watch it anymore. I just can't. I can't watch anything where any animal or any human is being abused or neglected or any of that. I can't. Simply cannot. But it's these high and low emotional states that drive a lot of decision making, how we're going to spend our money, how we're going to spend our time. That's not necessarily a good thing. You know, we know that, and we know that they know that, you know, just like how food manufacturers put they put stuff in our food to make us addicted. It's marketers put stuff in their copy and in their films to get us, to draw us in and hold us there. But get this is really interesting. Anger lowers our ability to take the perspective of others. In other words, no empathy, anger. So there's low empathetic response, meaning that the anger that people feel toward another group of humans or whatever makes it so that their anger is more pronounced than their empathy or their sympathy or their compassion for a group of people or, you know, animals or whatever. So, for example, a really good example would be an invasive species of something taking over, and therefore people, you know, groups coming in, taking up a bunch of these animals and exterminating them. They do this with geese every year. Canada geese have become real pests, and this is what they do. They do this with deer all the time. They take out a lot of deer so that they can thin the herd, literally thin the herd and the population. So I think that's interesting that we do that, and we don't have an empathetic response because they're destroying, you know, the environment or whatever it is around there. So awe, on the other hand, produces, get this is so interesting to me, because you study emotion and you look at what they do. And remember when we were talking about, this is a while ago, I did a whole series on high and low vibe and how you can see high vibration and how it's much more complex and has lots more vibration. We showed that. It's on YouTube with the sand drawings. Incredible. And as you put sand, like it's in a flat, whatever it is, like a plate, or even just say a plate. You put sand on a plate and you turn on the vibration machine, and it just buzz, and it makes a pattern. And the higher the vibration, the more complexity in the pattern. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And it's just so illustrative of how our complex emotions are more high vibrational. And also they're more evolved, really, is what it is. So awe, on the other hand, produces open-mindedness and generosity. Did you know that? Awe. Not sad watching those little creatures out in the snow shaking around, but awe, like something that's awe-striking, like seeing, National Geographic, you ever watched a show on National Geographic? It stirs you. You watch the beauty of this planet and just the waterfalls and everything. I mean, we get this all around us. I live in one of the most beautiful areas of the country, and we are the land of waterfalls. We have hikes all around us right here in my neighborhood with some of the most beautiful waterfalls in the county. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? AWE, Teresa, awe, like I'm awestruck, that kind of awe. And then humor, not the sarcastic put down kind, but humor helps to drive change by making us look at ourselves and maybe laugh a little bit at ourselves, kind of in a funny way. It lowers our defenses and makes us say, well, all right, well, there you are. I mean, isn't it so sweet how humor is like that? I love humor because we can just kind of do a little poke, but in a sweet and kind way. We can say something like, oh, I'm not defensive at all, or something like that. And then maybe roll your eyes and start laughing. And that lowers our defenses, and it makes us look at, okay, so what am I being defensive about? What do I need to maybe correct a little bit? If we can laugh at ourselves in a sweet and kind and generous way, and not in a place of putting ourselves down or being sarcastic or rude or any of that, because we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. But, it lowers, when we can lower our defenses, we can allow for other stuff to come in, can't we? And we can allow for the change. And as a matter of fact, one of the writers, Caleb Warren, who was one of the researchers on how emotions drive change, fascinating. He said, humor is an important psychological response that facilitates coping, social coordination, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that so neat? So this is the emotional response. When we can have a little bit of a sense of humor, it shows that we are looking at ourselves with the full spectrum of everything. And also it shows that we have just a little bit of latitude and grace for others as well. I like that so much. Pride is also another motivator. And I know a lot of times people are just like, oh, you don't want to be prideful, and no, this, that, and the other thing. Having a sense of pride, like in your appearance, or having a sense of pride in the work you do, or an accomplishment, that's an important thing. There's nothing wrong with that. That's nothing wrong with it. It's a motivator. It helps people to feel better about themselves, and it helps people to feel better about others as well. You have a sense of pride when somebody in your neighborhood does something. You have a sense of pride in home ownership, a sense of pride in showing up, a sense of pride in the fact that you're daily doing the hard things. There's reason to have a sense of pride behind it. And so we now know from researchers that emotional intelligence can be developed. You remember how we talked about years and years ago, they said, and as a matter of fact, when we learned about the growth mindset versus a not, golly, why do I always mess that up? Having a fixed mindset. Fixed mindsets believe that we are not allowed, that we have a set emotional intelligence, we have set intelligence, and that's it. What we've learned over the last 20 years, and the brain science in the last 20 years has been amazing and remarkable and huge. And this is why the studies are just recent, really. But what we've learned is that emotional intelligence also plays into this whole idea of growth mindset. We can grow emotionally. We can grow intelligently. And we grow emotionally and intelligently. It's called emotional intelligence. And it allows us to elevate and up level our experience of life and the experience with doing whatever it is that we're doing and looking at things just a little bit differently, looking at them a little bit differently. And this is the most important thing for understanding how we can overcome any kind of obstacles that are getting in the way of the vibrancy that we want in our lives, period. Emotional intelligence gives us the ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle emotions in positive ways. Because they can really bring us down, can't they? If we allow our emotions to just run right over us, they can take us down because the negative ones are so much easier to grab a hold of. Those are super low vibe. They're at the ready. High vibe emotional intelligence takes some doing. High vibe emotional intelligence is everything. So when we can look at positive ways to handle stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict, we're dealing in the emotionally intelligent quadrant. That's where we are. That's where we're hanging out. Because we recognize and know that emotions run the gamut, and we're going to selectively choose the ones that can help us to win the war on procrastination and doing the things that we want to do. Because we find ourselves so oftentimes in that place of constantly not doing the things that we want to do. And if we want to get to that place, then we want to dwell in the higher levels of emotional intelligence. This is what Daniel Goleman, he's the psychologist who coined the term emotional intelligence. He said there's 5 elements to it. The first one is self-awareness, because we're aware of where we are with our emotional intelligence, aren't we? How can we possibly use emotional intelligence if we're not even aware of it? How's that look at? Number 2 is self-regulation. We can feel when we're starting to fall apart. This is one of the reasons why I always say unplug from the emotion of the whole situation and give it a good analytical glance first. Because it's that way when we plug back into our emotion, we can direct it. You hear me on that? That's such an important thing. That changed my life, by the way. That changed my life. Because we have this notion that because these emotions are here, they're all true, and they're just going to run and do their business, and we don't have any control over them. And that's simply not the case. First of all, you should question any belief you have and any emotion that you have, because it could be completely off base. That's number 1. And number 2 is that when you question these emotions, are they true? And is this something that I want to even have in my life? Then you get to pick and choose. You get to say, this stays, this goes. Isn't that cool? That doesn't mean that we're denying emotions. That doesn't mean we're denying our feelings or anything like that. We're simply directing them. We get to do that. This is your life that you are the director of, by the way. So you get to do that. You get to make the choice. Notice I never said stuff it. Notice I never said forget about it. Notice I never said pretend it doesn't exist. What I'm saying is direct it like you're directing a film. What do you want? What do you want the main character to get out of this particular situation? Defeat or victory? What do you want? That's how you perceive it, and then that's how you go about it. Because when we're self-aware, we can self-regulate. We can. We're grown women. We can regulate. Number 3 is this also guides your, what is today? Motivation. It's Motivational Monday. Motivation is important, but it's also based so much so on action first. That's where we get so confused. We think motivation needs to be there first before we can have any kind of action. And it's simply not true. Action first, then motivation next, which is really cool. It's really funny how that does that. You're thinking, wow, I never really figured that one out. And look how good I feel now. And this is also the driver of empathy, because without having any kind of empathy for others, how do we have empathy for ourselves? Pretty simple, right? We don't, is the answer. We don't have empathy for ourselves. And when we put ourselves down and we put ourselves in this place, we can't rise above because we can only see ourselves in this place of just complete failure. There's no empathy for yourself if you're seeing yourself as a complete and utter failure. And then there's the last one, number 5, is social skills. They develop our social skills because then let me give you an example of a social skill. Here's a social skill. How are you doing today? Hey, how are you? Private question. Hey, how are you? I haven't heard from you for a while. How are you doing? The answer back, fine. Oh, fine. Everything's great. That isn't a highly developed social skill. That's just tamping it down and pretending it didn't exist. Now, if you were in a big social situation where it was obviously everything around you it wasn't the time to talk, you can say, I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there, but I'd love to get on the phone sometime with you if you've got a minute. I'd love to hear your perspective on some things. That's emotional intelligence right there. Because, we need to have those social skills. We need to have the social skills and the social wherewithal to know when to let it all hang out and when to, and also not to just fake it and pretend like everything's great. There's some cues there. Social skills have social cues. So we know when the situation is good and not. Empathy was number 4. Yes, Kimberline. Emotional intelligence is a huge driver in turning intention into action because it creates stronger everything. Have you noticed that? I've really noticed that. It's interesting how once we become aware of something, how our awareness shifts the perspective of what it can do for us and how it creates a different life. It really does. It creates a different life because you can't unlearn something. You can't unsee it, as they say. It's now there in your face, and now it's up for us to go forward with this information and to become the very best versions of ourselves because we know this information. It creates a stronger desire. It creates stronger follow through. It creates stronger relationships. It creates more wisdom in your life. Notice that one? And it creates a bigger heart, a bigger loving heart. Have you noticed that? I say it creates more love. It does, because it gives us the capacity to be able to do that. That's why it does that. And so when you cue emotional intelligence to be a part of your goals, look what you're doing. You're managing your energy wisely, very wisely, because you're noticing at this point, this is what I want to put my emotions on, and this is where I don't. Because otherwise, our emotions just fly all over Kingdom Come, just doing whatever it is that they do. Emotions don't need to do that. So here's 3 ways that emotions impact us, okay? Number 1 is subjectively. This is how we experience our emotions. And when we make a decision about our emotions that we are going to experience them in a positive way or a way that helps to direct something or whatever, that doesn't mean that the negative emotions aren't going to come. It's just how we choose to, our perspective in how we allow them to impact us. I feel negative emotions too. I've had times where I've been really depressed and all of that too. I'm not going to say that we don't, but I've also made decisions on how I'm going to experience them because I know my propensity is to go off the deep edge and just to, allow it to overtake me because I've had that. That was my 20s and 30s. Quite honestly, that's what my whole 20s and 30s looked like. And I think part of it might have even been a little postpartum-y stuff and also things going on in my life. But as a matter of fact, it was toward the end there of my 30s that I got diagnosed finally with thyroid issues. And I think it's interesting how all this stuff, how they all play into each other. But we also experience things physiologically. there's no way you can get away from that. Your body is impacted by it. Your body reacts to it. As a matter of fact, your thoughts absolutely 100% create chemical reactions in your body. This is how cortisol is released, the stress hormone. And too much cortisol, well, you know what that does is super damaging. All of these things let you know that emotions impact everything. And also expressively how we behave in accordance to this kind of a emotional response. One of my things has been, I'm just sitting here, confessing my sins today. But one of my emotional things is I will shut down. It's like, okay, it's like Get Smart. I'll just shut down. I won't say anything, and I'll simmer inside. I'll simmer. And that is not a good emotional response to anything. As a matter of fact, low emotional IQ, and I have to fight my way out of that because that's been the way that I've normally done. It just makes more sense to me because, one, I don't want to say something I don't want to say, and number two is I'm mad, and I'm just going to withdraw my affection, whatever. I saw this growing up. This is how my parents. There was a lot of cold shoulder stuff going on at home. But you know what? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And what I have noticed is that when I express myself instead and say, X, Y, Z, or this is being kind of a problem for me and I need a minute to think this through. I need a moment to process. It's made such a difference because I don't go to dark places. Because one of the things that we have a tendency to do is to start taking that one thought that we have and mulling it over and mulling it, and we shut it all down. We really take it to the dark areas, don't we? And we start assuming all kinds of darkness that goes along with it. And it's just not true. It's not true. And that's our emotional intelligence scrapped. That's emotional intelligence not in play at that time. So if we can express ourselves and behave in response to the emotion, and if in a way that's constructive, great. If we can't, then we need to say something that allows us to have that process time if somebody else is involved, or if we need to talk to somebody about it or whatever. Do you see where I'm going with all of that? Emotions increase the likelihood that we'll take action. That's what the research tells us. Emotions will increase the likelihood that we'll take action. So if this is the case, which it is, because that's what the research tells us, then we need to get our emotions behind us to help motivate and move the needle in our lives, right? Of course. Number one, we have to activate the decision of what it is and choose what it is that we're choosing. Activate the decision. So we use intentional goal setting. You know that. That's what we do. That's why we use it in an I am statement. And that's how we set our environment up for success. We have something that's going to motivate us, like this. Oh, I have grit, not quit. I see this and it reminds me, this is who I am. I'm not a quitter. I'm a gritter. That's who I am. It's looking at me. It's telling me so. I have things on my wall. I have quote decks right here. Here's my quote deck, right? Here we go. Part of courage is simple consistency. Thank you, Peggy Noonan. That was from my quote deck that I have right here. And look, this is how you do it. Let me show you. You take this quote deck, and whatever it is that you need, reminders about who you are and how you're trying to express yourself. Look, there it is. And it's in a little easel and it sits right there on your desk looking at you. This is why we do what we do and set our environments up for success. Number two is persistence. This continuous effort, even when it's rough or even when you mess up, gives you the grit, not the quit that you want. That persistence also. Think about persistence. If I think about persistence, you know what I think about? I think about the grittiness of myself. I think about inside, like me going inside, this is what I want. I'm going to push through. I'm going to finish this class. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to be able to check these things off my list. And there's just an emotional can-do-ness about that. Do you know the feeling I'm talking about? It is a feeling, though. It is an emotion, and it's just that whole focus has suddenly become that thing, that's it. And it just changes everything. It doesn't make you quit at all. You don't quit. As a matter of fact, game on at that point. That's what happens. And then there's the intensity of putting your emotion behind the effort. And I'll tell you that intensity, that can drive some things. That intensity is what we saw when Diane and I had crawled onto the beach and said, find a way, after that long swim. And that's us. That's us too. We're all, given the same mission to find a way and to figure these things out. When we have emotional intelligence on our side, it starts to click into place. So how do we sustain this emotional connection? How do we do this? Okay. Number one is to focus on the outcome only. Not how hard it is to get there, not on all the hard stuff, but when we're in the weeds, focus on the outcome. Emote over the outcome. Look at the vision board. Do all the things that you need to do in order to emote over that. Not the stuff that you don't want, the stuff that you do want. I love it. Like one of the things that we say in my little community of people who are all working out and saying I am athletes is, do you want to be sore or do you want to be sorry? All right. How's that for my Canadian accent right there? Sore or sorry? I want to be sore. I want to be sore because I did the work. I don't want to be sorry because I didn't do it. I want to be sore. Yeah. That's a whole different situation right there. It's the feeling of success. Success is pushing through, and that's a great feeling. Number two is to allow that great feeling of accomplishment to spill over into all the things. So you get done with the workout, you think, what else can I do? What else can I do with this great feeling? I can clean out a drawer. I can go declutter one box. I can throw something out. I can get on my to-do list and make those phone calls that I need to do. I can get other things done if I can get that thing done. Allow for the chain reaction and say what's next when you have captured that feeling. Now, this is one of the reasons why I am so really insistent that you capture your wins for the day, every single day, that you write it down. And when you do something, I see this all the time, like in the sprint group, and I shared a story about, I don't even remember her name. I think her name was Barbara or Michelle or something, but she had the story about overcoming the temptation of these brownies that were left, at her home from her kids. And how she just went by it. She took a picture of it. She posted it in the group. And the thing that was so impressive to me about that was just all of the emotions that were involved in it and how she managed them and how it got her to that place. There were aha moments all over. I get that. Now, what I'm saying to you about this is that when you have an aha moment, don't just post it somewhere, write it down. This is for future. This is for your future. Write it down. This is how I felt. And after I felt like this, I felt like I could do anything. I want to always feel like this. And you talk about this in such a way that when you go back and maybe even stick a little flag or something on that board, when you're feeling like you're about to cave, you're about to go into the kitchen, open every single drawer, door in the pantries and just go nuts. This is the place to go back, is into that journal and relive that feeling of the win. When we do that, we are capturing the emotion, we're riding the emotional intelligence, and we're allowing that to become the thing and not all the other stuff. Especially important as we're learning all this, because we learn it as a part of an action of what we're doing and as part of the way that we feel, and then it impacts, of course, the way that we think. So we allow for the feeling of accomplishment. We take that feeling to clean up the kitchen or get something else done. And we allow that feeling too to inspire us to greatness on every level with everything. If I can do that, I can do this. If I can do this, I can do that. And on it goes. The other thing is that you can, what you choose, when we allow this feeling to inspire, that's number 3, you can choose triggers if it's not there. I love that because, it's easy. For example, have you ever just gone in and just said, oh, this house, what happened here? It happens, there's just, you cook something, or there's a big here, you're sewing the laundry, or there's a project on the dining room table or whatever. You're just looking at everything. You're going, what the heck? You know what? Turn on a music, turn something on and just say, you know what? I'm going to do 2 songs and see what I can get done here, or whatever. And just turn on the music that does it for. I'll turn on some, I like a lot of 80s music. No surprise there. But I also love a lot of Motown and, whatever. And I'll just crank that sucker up and let's go. Get her done. It helps, doesn't it? Have you noticed that? A motivational quote, just to say, hey, part of courage is simple consistency. Yes, ma'am, I am going to be consistent. That is who I am. I am consistent. Yes. And then maybe you take a stroll down memory lane in your journal. Remember what I just said about capturing those wins? Go take a look at them and read them and say, okay, now's the time. And I also say, the last thing I would say, and I didn't write this one down, but put a timer on it. Give yourself 5 minutes. Give yourself a couple of minutes to just get it done. See, Margot's saying Diana Ross. There you go. Yep. Okay, but this is why all of this stuff is so important. And this is why documenting your wins just makes all the difference in the world. It gives you an opportunity to relive something positive that will influence the next thing that you're trying to do. And emotional intelligence creates stronger character, greater integrity, and makes for a more well-rounded, wise woman. What do you think of that? When we understand how to motivate ourselves with it too, come on. That's priceless. Can't beat that, right? Can't beat that. So listen, if you want to get motivated today, first of all, if you've got emotion going into the negative section, make sure, remember that you are the director of your own life. You get the opportunity to say, no, I don't want you doing that with this character. I want that to go over here. Redirect it. And watch what happens as your vibe gets a little higher. And as you start to redirect those emotions, watch how it affects your entire life and everything you do. That's emotional intelligence for you, right? All right. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget, tomorrow really is the last day for the Rising Tide. So if that's something that you're interested in, you really want to see your goals get handled in a big way for the next 12 weeks, you're going to want to join us. savingdinner.com/rising tide. Thanks again for joining me. I will see you tomorrow for Transformational Tip Tuesday. Peace.
Thanks for watching. Check back for new episodes. If you missed the live show, you can always watch the replay. You can find Saving Dinner on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, pinkies up.